Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us a round of applause in anticipation, for reading our report in anticipation, and for all the energy that you're going to display. So can I say hi? Does everybody have energy? Hello? Wonderful. Thank you so much. I know it's been a long day, and we've got a lot of alcohol waiting for us, so everybody needs to get geared up. So my name is Surabhi. I'm a partner with EY. And me, Chandy, and Ankur are here to launch the latest edition of the e-commerce and consumer internet sector trendbook in collaboration with IVCA and PeerCapital. The report highlights investments, M&A, market consolidation, and the outlook for over 14 subsectors within the e-commerce and consumer internet sector. Okay. Since the photographer is asking me to speak niche so that he can take a photo. So just for effect, I'll just look our photo le lo. With that, I'm going to call on stage Chandy. He's already on stage, actually. Chandy, please come over, or please, if you'd like to talk about the report, and then hand it over to Ankur. Thank you so much. Can we have a round of applause? It'll do us a lot of good. Sorry, we're greedy. Can we have the next slide, please? Promise we made 2 slides. I do promise.
Yeah. No, thank you, Surabhi, and good evening. We were worried that we will open this book to ourselves. 4 of us will be on stage and no one else. But a lot of effort has gone into this. A lot of data appropriately classified, and a lot of positivity. Of course, why not? So what we tried to do, and there was a lot of talk around this sector getting bashed by what's happening, what's happening around the funding falls, etc. But you will see from data, and there's much more, as Surabhi mentioned, and Ankur will talk to us in more detail on the 14 sectors. But FY22 really saw $15 billion of investment in the internet and consumer sector. And if you go back to 21 or 20, before everything just shot off, it was $8.5 billion. So is there really that much of a dampener in this sector? And is that dampener really bad? Because you talk to GPs and you talk to a lot of others, they probably like this, right? You can get better metrics going, you can get better long-term value for every consumer acquisition buck that you spend. So a lot of good things have happened here. It's not all doom and gloom. And we think, and the report points to a considerable sort of increase in investment given all the good things that are happening, digitization, the digital infrastructure, the financial infrastructure, and the companies themselves getting their metrics together, getting their metrics under control, and so on. So with that, Ankur, can I reach out to you for specific details? Ankur, he doesn't need an introduction, so I won't do that. Yeah.
So I think, thanks Chandy, Surabhi. I don't know, Karthik will also agree with the fact that given that, especially we look at early stage businesses, while the data that we saw on the previous slide suggested 38 billion going down to 15 billion, you take out the large $100 million plus deals, actually 21 and 22 are relatively flat. And again, just the conviction of the fact that we continue to see good momentum in business building in the early stage sub $25 million sort of transactions. And I think it generally augurs well for what is to come in 23 as well. But I think just forward looking, the sectors that excite us and we really feel there's tremendous value that will get created. I think clearly, firstly, we are seeing the supply chain get digitized more and more. Huge opportunity that exists there. And there's huge fragmentation, across the supply chain. And I think digitization opportunities associated to that, I think will create some breakout companies, this year. Supply chain, again, from a company point of view, getting more verticalized, it is more specialized. And in general, the tailwinds that exist because of Make in India, manufacturing, the PLI aspects, plus the China plus one supply chain locking that's happening for India. I think as we think about exports, many enabling businesses, logistic tech, businesses that are working towards, simplifying a deal. But I think as cross-border payments becomes a bigger piece as exports increase, that's another sector that, you'll continue to see interesting businesses being built out. I think the second area that clearly we're quite excited about is, the influencer, creator economy and enabling factors around that. Clearly, those are going to be very, very important elements, not just for typical acquisition and intention, but really being able to build businesses, create more trust. And I think that is a space that has obviously accelerated in the last year, but continue to see newer models evolving there. And I think that's a space that we're quite excited about. And the spin-off effect on businesses that they'll be able to scale and grow automatically creates interesting opportunities from our point of view. I think we are big believers in the fact that agri-tech, while it's had from a dollar value deployed perspective, a good year, I think it's still very early. And, we're big believers that as that, more tech being deployed to it, avenues of using, IoT, et cetera, I think that's all now being played out more effectively. And again, I think agri-tech is going to be one of those areas which is getting very deeply disrupted. And we see that as a space that's quite attractive. I think clean tech is an area that enough people have spoken about in the past, but I think again the focus there, some of the interesting companies that we are seeing come out in this space, while it's very early, but continue to believe that that's an area that will see a fair amount of traction. I think just the last really thing that I would think as we think about where digitization is going, where the new users are coming on, and the entire journey from interaction to transaction. The entire gamification of that is just scaling quite rapidly. And as new avenues of that come up, and linking that back to the aspect of how influencers and creators are creating significant impact there, I think that's a space that we believe is again going to be something that to watch out for. I think the data stack, just the last thing I'd like to say, again, we've seen what's happened with the entire health stack that's got built and developed. Ayushman Bharat and the vision around that is interesting for sure, but as data now becomes more and more available and usable in a more synchronous manner than what it used to be in the past, I think there are some very interesting companies building in that space as well. So again, health tech and specifically, how that grows will be an area that, we are quite excited about. I think overall, many would believe it's been a dull year, but I think contrary to that, we really see that as very strong business building that's happened. In many ways, tourism capital has not existed as much in 22 as it has in earlier years. Better habits have got created as a result of that. The focus on economics is certainly there. One thing, and I know many of us in this room will agree, there needs to be more heightened focus on governance as an area, but that's something that we all need to take back and work towards. So I guess in summary, very excited with what 23 and beyond holds. Lots to unpack from the numbers, from 22. I think the report, Chandy, Surabhi, thanks to the EY team for sort of putting it together, does talk a lot about the sub-segments as well. I think a lot to be done, but super excited to what we are seeing right now. And Rajat, thank you, and again to the IVCA team for the opportunity. I just love this session. Have been doing it for a few years now in a different avatar, but thanks for the opportunity again.
Thank you so much. I think we're the only panel with time left, so I think we're good there. We've been nice to you. We have a few hard copies of this report outside, but for all of you who need a soft copy, please leave your cards with our EY desk outside, and I promise you'll get soft copies, and we'll get your cards. Thank you so much. Karthik, anything that you'd like to say? Any words?
I think Ankur did a great job. I couldn't have done it better. I think we share a lot of the views. Congrats on your new fund. So it's great to see new managers building own conviction on what they want to invest in. I think the foundation of the new sort of thrust in e-commerce will be built by younger, newer managers. There's not going to be too much easy money though, unfortunately. So I think it's great cadence that we'll build far more frugally, far more profitably in this generation, I feel. And eventually, these are all danda businesses, right? So these are all desi danda businesses. And historically, they were not built with venture capital. We have an opportunity to disrupt them using technology rails that, the predecessors in these markets never had. Either the capability or the knowledge or even the infrastructure. So whether he's talked about payments, whether you're talking about, basically ease of, frictions going out using mobile as a device, the costs of being able to build these models have just dropped dramatically. And which means that the entire power shifted to new age entrepreneurs. That said, I think there'll be a big responsibility on their shoulders to build frugally, given what we've seen in the last 2-3 years. I don't think there's easy money chasing, these businesses until you actually show unit math much earlier in the life of the company. And so it's not a bad thing that the capital shrinks. I think we'll build better businesses with that shrinkage of capital. But fantastic areas identified. We broadly agree with this at Bloom as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much for being a brilliant audience. Thank you.